On today's episode of the Launchpad podcast, we are introducing a super special guest to y'all. And
On the second segment, we're going to do a live mock draft where each one of us has 2 minutes to make a pick for whatever team they're selecting for, and uh, we're going to do the Rockets picks collectively.
so we have a great show for y'all today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome in to another episode of the Launchpad podcast presented by Clutch City Control Room. As always, I'm your host, Don Knock. I'm joined by my fellow host, Paulo Alves, who is rocking his Rockets hat that he got during his trip for the first time. How's it feel?
Feels like a hat.
There you
I'm
go.
not
It's nice
really,
and snug.
I'm not
All
really a
right.
hat person, but I think this one looks
we're
cool.
gonna we're gonna convert you. So, of course, you can find me on Twitter at Don Knock. You can follow the pod at Clutch City CR. In the bio, there we have the link tree with Apple, Spotify, YouTube links. Again, we want to say thank you to everyone that subscribed on YouTube. I think we're pushing like 650 right now. Subscribers are trying to make our push to 1,000. So y'all have been doing great. We've been getting a lot of comments on the YouTube as well. We're trying to respond to those quicker. So definitely leave a comment if you are watching YouTube. Love to see that. And Paul, go ahead and tell the people where they can find your stuff.
Y'all can find me on Twitter at Paulo Alves NBA. That's PAULOALVES NBA. Everything I do from podcasts to live shows on Twitter Spaces will find itself linked on there.
And if you missed the Twitter space yesterday, we will be doing one next week, Wednesday as well at 7 p.m. So don't miss that. We had a good turnout yesterday. I think we had close to 150 people in there at some point. So it was awesome. But today we are joined by a super special guest, someone that if you come in the Twitter spaces frequently, you're probably a little familiar with. But for those who aren't in the Twitter spaces, we're going to give him a little bit of an opportunity to introduce himself, tell him or tell y'all how he became a Rockets fan and just general stuff like that. So we have today J Dubb at the Mind of J Dubb on Twitter. How are you feeling? Are you excited to be here? What's going on?
Definitely excited to be here. Feeling great. Talk to you guys a lot, so feels very familiar. It's just we're on camera now, but very glad to be here. Glad to be on the podcast that I watch, and excited to do this mock draft.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here for sure. Let me just fix my timer. There we go. And so, like I said, tell us a little bit about yourself, just in terms of your Rockets fandom. When did you start watching? Are you from Houston originally? Did you move here? There's a lot of transplants in Houston. Um, and then, who was your favorite player growing up? Who's your favorite player? If you want to do like favorite player of the last 10 years. And yeah, just take it from there.
So I'm a little older than a lot of the crew on here. So I've been a Rockets fan since probably about 1990. So I've been rooting for the Rockets a long time. Pretty much was here for the entire Hakeem Olajuwon era. So I am one of the rare people who had to see a championship. So obviously Hakeem Olajuwon was my favorite player at that time. He's probably my favorite player of all time. I've been rocking with him, man. I remember the championships, and now that just drives me to continue to be a fan and hopefully let y'all experience the next part. I'll say since then, after Hakeem Olajuwon, my favorite Rocket since then may have been Yao Ming. But I think right now I try not to select favorites because players come and go so often. I just try to enjoy. I just have players I don't really rock with. Oh, I will say CP3 is one of my three favorite players of all time. So that was a very big addition for me. So yeah, I pretty much love all of our players minus one, and that's pretty much the way I go at this point.
So you said you were born and raised in Houston.
I am. I was born and raised in Houston. I was born back when we had a Sharpstown hospital. So that lets you
We're
know
not
how old
gonna
I
let
am.
that -1 slide. I'm gonna need to know who the -1 is for the
Yeah, I
culture.
mean, anybody who either follows me on Twitter, is in any spaces, or any group chats with me, just know I don't really rock with James Harden at this point. Would love to love him, but I just kind of take how he left my city and my team in shambles personally. So um, I am a big Rockets fan. I am not a James Harden fan, but time heals all wounds, so we'll see.
I think that's a relatable story at this point. I think we ran a poll before the Sixers game started on the people want the Sixers to win, do people want the Sixers to lose. And I think let me see what that poll ended up at. This is great radio right here. Hold on. Oop. If you can find it first, go ahead. All right, here we go. So the poll ended up 57.8% Sixers win, 42.8% tie it up and have the Raptors win. So, 43% of Rockets fans don't want. That was a 350 vote sample size, so they don't want to see Harden win either. And he's been looking over the hill a little bit. Maybe it's a hamstring injury, maybe it's not, but we're gonna shift gears a little bit now. And so, what we're gonna do for the rest of this podcast is we're going to run a mock draft of the first 17 picks. So obviously, the Rockets have potentially pick number 1, but we did our little take-a-thon sim. They don't have number 1. Spoiler alert. So we'll get into that as we go. The picks are going to be on the screen. We have our movie magic. It's back. So if any of y'all were worried that it went somewhere, here we go. Ta-da! There we go. So that will queue up on the screen who is going to be drafting. As you can see, of the people that can't see, Portland is going to have the first pick in our mock draft. I was trying to come up with a clever name for it, but the launch pad 1.0 mock draft. There you go. That's what we're gonna call this. So Portland, think about all the team needs that they have. Obviously, they have Damian Lillard. They have Anthony Simons. Do they need another guard? Maybe. Should they draft our friend out of Purdue, number 1? I don't know. We're going to find out. We also randomized the drafting order. So Paulo is going to be drafting first on behalf of the Portland Trailblazers, and then we'll outline who has each pick. When we get to the Rockets picks, we are going to do those together. That way, we can kind of make a collective decision there. So
I think you got it confused. I'm drafting for the Detroit Pistons. That's the list you sent us.
Oh no, I thought you sorted before the randomization. You're doing pre-sort?
No, you sent us the Tankathon sim. And your Tankathon sim has
Oh,
Detroit.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the one I did on my computer. Okay, so you're right.
Adam Silver.
So on this one, Adam Silver fumbling the Tankathon sim. All right, let me go off my phone. So yeah, Detroit will be drafting first.
Right.
Lucky
And so
there we go. Okay.
For context,
there we go. Detroit first, and then gotcha.
Yeah, everyone has 2 minutes to make their picks. I'm running a timer. I'll tell you when there's 30 seconds left, so you gotta hurry up. The order at which the people in the pod are drafting was randomized as well. There's going to be a couple of times where the same person drafts 2 times in a row.
There we go.
That's just how it goes.
Okay.
And besides that, the Rockets picks are going to be decided by the collective, by the 3 of us. Each one of us will have 1 vote. So there should be no draws unless we all vote for different people. Right. So yeah, we ready to get started?
I think we're ready. All right, so run the clock.
Right. I started the clock, so 2 minutes.
There we go.
For the Pistons.
Detroit Pistons.
Not
the Portland Trailblazers. That was just that was a test. That was a test just so we could throw out some names. All right, so
I'm gonna run y'all through what I'm thinking as I'm looking at this. I've got the Pistons team in front of me. I just can't see. I think Banchero and Cade are basically the same archetype of player as a playmaking forward, although Cade can play the guard as well. They don't really have a center. They have Isaiah Stewart, but that's not really your long-term center. And they don't really have a long-term 4 that I can see. So it's one of the top 3 picks. That being said, I think Paulo is a little bit overlappy with Cade, although I think he's probably the best player available. I think the Pistons would probably value something different. I think Jabari and Sadiq Bey are kind of similar roles as well, and I think they're really lacking in rim protection. So I'm going to lock in Chet Holmgren for for the Detroit Pistons to form a dynamic draft duo with Kate Cunningham.
Chet Holmgren is the pick. All right, hold on, I gotta name this draft. All right, so now drafting for Indiana. Unfortunately, also Paulo for the second pick. He obviously rigged this draft in his own benefit. So okay, go ahead and
Blame random.org. All right, I am on the
all
clock
right.
again. Man, Indiana's so tough. Because I'm looking at this and there's been reports that they want to keep Miles Turner. So, and both Banchero and Jabari fit really well with Miles Turner. The only real playmaker that they have is Tyrese Halliburton. I think they're gonna look to move Brogdon regardless. I don't think those two play well together. So I think this would be a good team for Banchero to go to. I think they are just looking for star power here, and I think Halliburton can space the floor for Banchero. Turner can space the floor for Banchero as well. They're only for other than that Isaiah Jackson, who some people say is actually a center, so he might just be Turner's backup. See, I think as much as I would love for Banchero to drop to the Rockets with the second pick, the Indiana Pacers select Paulo Banchero out of Duke.
Why don't let me start this draft?
Do you
All
actually
right, I'm just
believe
gonna
those
write them.
reports today? Do you believe those reports that they plan on keeping Miles Turner?
Yeah, man. I think even if they don't, like, I think, like, considering that they don't have clear
there we go.
offensive option other than Halliburton, who's more of a true point guard of sorts. I think if a team doesn't have that and Banchero fits, I think he's the best player available, just like he is for the Rockets. So
All
can't
right,
really justify the Pacers not going for him here. So next we
there we
have
go.
J Dubb picking for. Oh no, this is
No,
Oh,
we
is
have
it?
Alderman,
Houston.
right?
Use this
Yep.
Yeah.
as it's our pick altogether. All right, and I have the Fanspo draft up right now.
All right. So we have 2 minutes to come up with this. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. I would go with
Yeah.
Jabari here.
Yeah, it's pretty easy
I
pick.
think you have to go Jabari here. No one
Fragile
wants to
NBA is
go
knocking.
shade. No one wants to go with Shade and Sharp.
I mean,
Alright,
as
so
much as I like Shaden, yeah.
He's
Sorry,
been
go
the
ahead.
hot riser, but I think especially now. I mean, we're doing this draft April 28th, right? He hasn't done his combine workouts. He hasn't done his 5-on-5s at the combine either. You know, Shaden Sharp may rise up to where some people end up wanting to draft him over Jabari Smith at this point. But I think right now, the prudent, the conservative thing to do here, you know, like I said, go with Jabari Smith, and then that way we can start game planning what the Rockets are going to do with the Brooklyn pick. So that's fine with me. We're going to lock it in. Jabari Smith at pick number 3.
Yeah.
All right,
Easy
here
pick.
we go. On
So
the clock.
We got J Dubb next, drafting for.
Okay. The Oklahoma City Thunder.
All right.
OKC is always interesting because they seem to have this non-precise plan. They like to stack assets. They like to draft talent. The fit is it's so hard because you never know who they plan on having long term. I guess at this point, the guys who you would consider locks to be part of the long term core would be Giddy, Shea Gillis, probably a trade man. But I think right here, especially for a team that I believe is going to try to go very hard into the Wemby sweepstakes, they will probably go with the highest upside, but also the guy who probably who won't contribute as much early on. And so I just think that that would make Shaden Sharp a perfect fit here. He has the upside. I do think that he's going to be somewhat of a project, especially in year one, considering he hasn't played basketball. Um, so again, there are some tempting options here. I do think that this is one of those teams that even Jalen Duren would be interesting. And then of course you have Ivy, but I just feel like Shaden Sharp will fit their archetype. High upside, not going to be ready right now, and helps them stay in contention for the Wemby sweepstakes. I'm going to go with Shaden Sharp here, number 4 to OKC.
We got our first deviation from the consensus here. I like it. I think it's definitely an OKC type of thing to do. Right.
All right. So with OKC, they're going Shaden Sharp. So now this is where it does get interesting because let me expand my little
So
roster here.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
next. I'm picking for the Orlando Magic. And so for anyone that's followed this podcast uh for a while now, last year somehow I always got the Magic pick. And so we're starting this draft season off just right. Mwah. Right back drafting for the Orlando Magic. So the Orlando Magic, they have Mo Bamba, Jonathan Isaac, who Jonathan Isaac hasn't played for a while. They have Fultz, Suggs, Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton. They got Franz Wagner, Terrence Ross, Wendell Carter Jr. So, their roster is just completely all over the place here. There's not really anything super solid. There's not really any big holes. It's just I feel like they need to draft the best player available at this point. But the two best players available left on the board for me, Jaden Ivey and AJ Griffin. I mean, there's just immediate redundancy right there. I mean, you draft Jaden Ivey, this guy's behind three other guys. You draft AJ Griffin, this guy's obviously behind Wagner. Man, Okiki as well. This is just such a strange roster, but man, y'all really love killing me with these Magic picks. I don't like Duran here, because again they have Mo Bamba who's barely even played. I guess it would make a little bit of sense. They have Wendell Carter too. Jonathan Isaac if he ever plays again, so you don't really have a whole lot power forward. I mean, I guess shooting guard, but they play some of these other guys at shooting guard anyway. Like they have a bunch of point guards that are combo guards anyway.
You've got 20 seconds to go.
20 seconds. What am I going to do here? Should I just take Johnny Davis just to ruin everyone's day? I think that would be the meme pick here, would be to throw them Johnny Davis.
5,
Oh,
4,
man.
3, 2.
I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to
1.
send them Johnny Davis. No, just kidding. I'm going to send them Ben Mathurin. I'm pretty high on him. I think that's a good pick for them.
On the last second of the clock, you got the pick in.
Ben Mathurin. There you go. Okay. So now we have the team that I pretended like was drafting first, but actually wasn't, the Portland Trailblazers.
And it's me again.
I don't know how you weaseled your way into this many picks, man. Me and J Dubb want to have some fun too. You gotta cut this
Everybody
shit out.
has the same amount of picks. Okay, everybody has 5.
It doesn't feel like it.
Thunder.
Well, you're not gonna pick for like 20 picks here or something.
Yes.
All right.
All
right. So Portland Trailblazers on the clock. Oh, actually, hold on. We'll pick for Portland and then we'll go to break right after. So finish this up and then we'll break.
So the clock's on. I mean,
yep.
It's tough to pick for Portland because I don't know if this is bluff and they will trade Damian Lillard or if they're gonna keep him and try to build something around him. I'm going to assume they're gonna keep him and they're gonna build something around him. And so I'm looking at Damian Lillard and probably Nurkic and Anthony Simons as the guys that are probably going to bring back. Because other than that, they just got rid of everyone. They got Keon Johnson as well. What I see is there is no power forward on this team. So I think, am I about to pick this guy over AJ Griffin? Man, yes.
Yeah, I think you are.
Yes, I am. I am picking Keegan Murray for the Portland Trailblazers.
All right, the AJ Griffin slide has begun. So
not the AJ Griffin. The Ivy slide has begun.
The Ivy slide has also begun.
Well.
Amazing point.
I forgot, but I could not pick Ivy for the Blazers. Like, they already have 2 point guards, and I just don't see them taking Ivy there.
Paulo, I do want to know, why do you not like Greg Brown? Because you're drafting over Greg Brown.
Because I know you're a big Greg Brown fan, but man, he's just not a building block.
That was a guy I was super high on last year. I scouted Greg Brown in person. That was one of the first people I ever scouted like in person. I went up to Austin for that, so I pushed Greg Brown propaganda up for a while last year. So I had to get some little callbacks in right there. But so next time when we come back, we are going to pick back up with the Sacramento Kings. We're gonna go to break so we can get our normal ad routine break in. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, I'm sure everyone is excited for this Kings pick. So be right back. And we are back, continuing on to our second segment here on the Launchpad podcast with our special guest, J Dubb. We just finished picking for the Portland Trailblazers. Now we're going to hold on. I put Scaramento. Hold on. Now we're gonna pick for the Scaramento Kings. It'll be my pick. So, are you ready with the clock? Sacramento.
Yes.
There we go.
So just disclaimer: don't try to cheat in the break and look at the Kings roster. So
These are the facts.
I may or may not have tried to cheat.
Them.
You know, hey,
find them some
the Astros told me if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I had to, try to squeeze a few peaks in there at the roster.
Right. 3,
I don't know the Kings
2,
roster like that. They're not that serious.
You are
not a serious franchise.
Clock.
Here we go. All right, so current roster: De'Aaron Fox, obviously a point guard. Sabonis, they just give up a lot of capital for him. Harrison Barnes is on a 1 year. Dante DiVincenzo, they just traded for him. He's in the qualifying offer. Rashawn Holmes on a 3 year. So center, I'd be tempted to draft underneath Sabonis for a center here, but I do like Holmes. They have Mitchell, so they really don't need anything at guard. It looks like, scanning over this, they need something at the wing. So Mo Harkless, the habitual didn't get it done in Portland guy. I have no problem drafting in front of Mo Harkless. So I think this is going to be the spot for me where I end the AJ Griffin slide. Let's get Sacramento some wing help, and I'm going to go with them. So not taking it all the way up to the last second like I did last time. AJ Griffin is the pick for the Sacramento Kings.
It is locked in.
Lock it in, baby.
So next we have J Dubb picking 7th for the
New Orleans Peasants. The Peasants, is that their name?
Yes.
I'm going to put some respect on them.
Shout out to Ed. Ed, if you're watching, we love you, buddy. Like, I know Ed has to be the biggest Pelicans hater I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know the Pelicans had haters until I met Ed, and he has shown me the light. But one of my friends is like a big Pelicans fan, which is kind of crazy to say, but he lives in Baton Rouge. So it is what it is. All right,
now on the clock.
There we go.
So I would like to make a lot of intrigue and a lot of drama here, but I kind of feel like it's going to be hard. Hopefully, Tori, our Pelicans friend who's always in our spaces, is actually watching. But I just think that this is a no-brainer. The one spot that I really feel like that Pelicans could use besides Jenny Craig for Zion would be a point guard. I like Graham. I don't think that Graham should be the starting point guard long term. CJ can't handle the ball. I don't think that's what he's best at. I think we just catapulted a team into the top 6 in the West with this pick, as long as it works out. Super easy. Okay. Super easy pick. The Ivy slide stops here. He comes in. He's explosive. He can get that ball around. I think he has a good mix to put with McCollum. I think he can get the ball to Ingram, who's rising, and hopefully Zion at some point become explosive, become fun. I just think this is a super steal with Ivy here at 8 to New Orleans Pelicans, and watch out, the future is super bright.
That's a lot of athleticism on that team between Ivy and Zion here. So next up, we have the San Antonio Spurs.
Back to Don.
I didn't get to cheat this time.
So 3.
Very unfortunate.
3, 2,
all right.
1. You are on the clock.
All right. So DeJounte Murray has their point guard position kind of filled. Lonnie Walker at shooting guard. Josh Richardson also shooting guard. I wouldn't be afraid to draft in front of either one of those guys. Doug McDermott at small forward. Zach Collins at power forward. Vassell at small forward. Primo at shooting guard. I probably wouldn't draft in front of Primo. So I'm just looking like small forward here or power forward. Keldon Johnson, small forward, so power forward, I would say. Devontae Caycock, I'm okay drafting over him. It's looking like power forward here. I'm okay with. I could take a center here, honestly. I don't like Pirtle that much. As excited as everyone has been for the game that bears his name, I have no problem drafting in front of Pirtle either. So Jalen Duren and I'm probably okay on Davis. I'm probably okay on Agbaji. Not a lot. Sohan seems like a reach here, honestly. Um, that would be the first power forward prospect. I think I'm gonna have to go Duran here and draft in front of Pirtle. Just I think the talent is there. And they don't have good center depth anyway. So even if he doesn't work out as a starting center, I think playing him as the backup center it'd be a good fit here. So doesn't seem like a super Spursy pick, Jalen Duran out of Memphis, but that's who I'm going to go with in this spot. I think they could use at least backup center help, if not, a new starting center. So go ahead, lock it in. Jalen Duran
It
to
is
San
locked in.
Antonio. All right, and next we have Washington. Let me change over
Back to
graphic
me, I
view.
think.
That's correct.
All right. So I am on the clock. 2 minutes are running. The Washington Wizards. There's a lot of picks here. It could be Johnny Davis, could be Tari Eason, it could be a center, Mark Williams. I am actually, and it could be Nikola Jovic because the um, the Washington Wizards love to draft these international guys. I think it's what 2 3 years in a row. They like Danny Avdija. They drafted Rui Hachimura. I think no, last year they drafted they drafted an American prospect, but I'm looking at this team and I'm thinking. So
Did
ever since John Wall got hurt, their point guard situation is Ish Smith and Ian Mahinmi for the longest time. So I'm looking at this and I'm looking at Ty Washington or Dyson Daniels here. And one of those guys is international, and the other one of them is not. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. They're not going to draft because of that. Um, it's a tough choice, but I think Tyson Daniels is going to be the better defender at the NBA level, even if his shot might not be the best right now. I don't think that's a problem on a team that in the backcourt with Bradley Beal. So I mean, they made it work with Russell Westbrook last season. They couldn't shoot. So I'm going to lock in with 30 seconds to go. I'm going to lock in Dyson Daniels to the Wizards at this pick.
man
Pretty
this
priced there.
this this Washington depth chart is kind of tragic, honestly.
It is.
They need a lot. All right, and another team that may need quite a bit. The New York Knicks.
Yep, the New York Knicks are next, and it's
White
Don
space.
drafting again.
They'll love giving me these poverty teams. I had Orlando, had Sacramento, now I got the Knicks too.
Right.
All right. Well,
3, 2, 1. You are on the
so
clock.
you picked Washington?
Yes.
You picked Daniels, Washington.
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Making sure. All right. So at point guard, we got Emmanuel Quickly, Miles McBride. I was high on McBride last year, honestly. Shooting guard, Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, Evan 48, Quentin Grimes. Small forward, we got Reddish, Hunt, and Farron Hunt. Power forward, Obi Toppin, Julius Randle, Jericho Sims, Taj Gibson. And at center, Nerlens Noel. So they could use some help at center as well. Nerlens Noel is, a replacement level guy. He's not bad, but I think there could have some upgrade at that position. I like Cam Reddish, but I wouldn't hesitate to kind of draft over the top of him. Julius Randle is going to be your power forward, so I think that's not as critical of an issue here. RJ Barrett, they're probably going to keep rolling with him. He had an okay season last year. And they have a lot at point guard, even though none of these guys are really doing anything. So that's
Yeah.
what
Do
makes it
they?
tough.
Do they
They
have
have
a
a
lot of
lot
point
of they have a
guards?
lot of guys. They have numbers at point guard. I don't know if they have the production at point
If
guard.
they could play 3 at the same time, they'd be
I
okay.
think honestly the Knicks. We didn't do any trades in this draft. But I think the Knicks maybe should be looking to move up for Ivy. Honestly, in this draft, just the way kind of, especially because our Ivy fell in our mock. But man, I think small forward, center, or point guard, you really can't go
25
wrong.
seconds to go.
Man, I'm gonna go. Do I reach here for a center is the question. And Mark Williams is right there. I think Mark Williams and Nerlens are pretty similar. I'm gonna take Ochai Agbaji at this pick.
Wow.
With 3 seconds to go.
There you go.
Wow, you went for him. Okay.
They haven't played Reddish a lot, man. They traded for Reddish. I'm thinking they're going to play him a lot, and they really didn't. So I don't think
I low-key
there's.
think that Akai might go to the Cavs because he said he wanted to, and the Cavs need a guy like that. But regardless, next pick is me again. I am picking for
All
the
right, Oklahoma City.
OKC Thunder with the Clippers pick. I am on the
There we
clock.
go.
And they just picked Shaded Sharp.
Yeah, you just picked Shaden Sharp. Let me pull up the Thunder. So
Okay.
you just picked Shaden Sharp. They've got Giddy, and they've got Shea, and they've got Trey Mann, and they got Lou
This
Dort.
is,
So I'm thinking guards are out of the question. So Johnny Davis is not going this pick.
the way that they have their depth chart outlined here is very strange. They have
Ty,
Man starting at the point guard with
Ty
Shea
Washington is
here.
not a pick either. So I'm thinking Mark Williams at center makes sense here for them. I'm thinking Tarizen would make sense, but they have JRE and they probably like him, and they don't have a center at all. So I'm thinking it's probably gotta be a center here. I just can't see, and Mark Williams is not a reach at this pick. Yeah, I think it's probably as obvious it's gonna get that they're gonna move JRE to the 4. And they're gonna select Mark Williams with the 12th pick in
All right,
the draft.
lock it in.
Lock it in.
And OKC drafts Mark Williams. So next up, we have Charlotte Hornets.
I can see J Dubb hurting, his Duke fandom hurting as Mark Williams goes to the Thunder.
That hurt because Charlotte has a obvious need at center, and Mark Williams would have been absolutely perfect there.
Yep.
And there's really no other center that you would take at this spot. So I'm gonna have to actually use my clock now.
It's J Dubb's.
You're not taking Walker Kessler?
I'm not taking Walker. I like guys who shoot to actually make the shot. So
also, just for clearance, J Dubb is drafting for the Hornets at pick 13 here. So
there we go.
Okay. So
Charlotte,
we're not gonna go center here. We're gonna try to really. I think they could use some two-way players. They start this 2-point guard backcourt with Rozier and Ball. I would have liked Dyson Daniels here so that LaMelo can play a little off ball. Mark Williams would have been perfect at center. I cannot get either one of those. So that does put me in a slight conundrum.
Do you start planning for the Miles Bridges exit? That's the question.
Does he?
Or do you think they're gonna do you think they're gonna re-sign him?
He's restricted.
I mean, they don't have to match. You think that's what I'm saying? You think they're gonna match?
You think any team's gonna give him a big salary and have their cap space held up for 48 hours?
I mean, how far under the floor is Oklahoma City? They could try it.
You've got 30 seconds.
I think they have to insulate themselves here. I'm gonna go ahead and after me picks Cleveland. I'm gonna go ahead and this is gonna be the irony of the podcast, but I'm gonna go ahead and take Johnny Davis here. I think he has some.
There we go.
Some two-way ability. I think he can play next to
on the clock.
Point guard. Yeah, we're gonna go Johnny Davis, and this Johnny Davis, I have made up for any slander I've given you. So Johnny Davis, we're back in good graces.
I love it. Okay, so
we've got Don next.
This is me.
Don next.
Damn, another poverty team.
With the Cleveland Cavaliers at 14.
That's my shtick here is I'm the Cleveland heckler.
And 3.
Cleveland, this is not for you. There you go. All right.
You are on the clock.
All right. So let's see. Not a lot at center on this team. Evan Mobley, complete fraud. Jarrett Allen's pretty good. Now I'm playing. Kevin Love, also power forward. Man, Okoro. I don't mind Okoro. I could see drafting over the top of him. They have, future Hall of Famer Karis LeVert, so not going to want to do too much at shooting guard here. Sexton should be back next season. Do we think?
Restricted? They got
restricted. Okay, so I could see them drafting underneath of Sexton if
they got Karis LeVert.
Yeah, they have Karis LeVert as well. So man, it seems like small forward is really the play here. Again, I like Okoro a little bit, but I would not hesitate to draft at the top of him. So with that said, I'm going to ruin a lot of Rockets fans' hopes here. Because I know who a lot of people want to get at that pick. Was it 3 picks from now? But I think I'm going to go Tari Eason here. I think
Is
draft at the
anyone
top
on
of
the
Okoro.
wing and you pick Tari Eason?
I think they can play him at 3. It's going to be tough,
Okay.
but I think that's how I think they're going to go. I could see, I rather them do that than put Sohan there. Like it's just isn't a
Are you
great.
looking at?
I mean, would I've gone for Jovic? Like I don't.
It's a
Maybe
4 big
Kendall
lineup.
Brown. Maybe Kendall
Sohan would
Brown.
have
I
been
think
redundant.
yeah, someone would have been more redundant. And
So
I don't
is
know.
Tari
Kendall
Eason.
Brown would have been a reach for me. I think that would be the other person I would probably look at that spot. But
Right.
I mean, they already have gone that direction.
You're locking it in. You
So
got 20 seconds.
I don't know. Maybe Brown because that's the thing is like their roster is pretty lined out already. You know what? Yeah, give me
10.
Eason. Give me
Tari
Eason.
Eason is locked in.
Yeah.
All right. So next we've got J Dubb with back-to-back picks. The first one will be the Charlotte Hornets again with the Pelicans pick, and then the Atlanta Hawks.
And I have Charlotte again. Sorry about that doorbell.
You're good.
I have
There you
Charlotte
go.
again.
Charlotte, Atlanta, and then Rockets.
By the way,
Let
Don,
me ask you a
you're gonna
question,
get
Don.
cursed.
Don,
You're gonna get cursed.
can we do a quick break here?
You can, yeah, if you want to take it that route.
Yeah, let's do
This
a
is a
quick break here if
decent
you
place
can.
for a break. All right, no problem. So we just drafted Tari Eason for the Cleveland Cavaliers, my arch nemesis. When we come back, we are going to draft for Charlotte Hornets, and J Dubb will be drafting, correct?
Yes.
All right, so no one wants to miss that. I'm sure he's going to do a better job than I just did with my goofy Eason pick. So stick around. We'll be right back. And moving into our third segment here, continuing on with our Launchpad mock draft version 1.0. So I just picked Tari Eason for the Cleveland Cavaliers because I hate them and I wanted to ruin their draft. So now that I've also ruined J Dubb's draft for a second time in a row, he will be picking for the Charlotte Hornets. All right. Are we ready with the clock?
Yes.
All
3,
right.
2, 1. You are on the
There
clock.
we go.
So full disclosure, I was really hoping to get Mark Williams and Tari Eason for Charlotte's 2 picks. Don sniped both of them from me. I'm also tempted to make a bad pick here because it's Charlotte and it would be only right. However, even though he's a solid player, there's a chance that Johnny Davis could end up being that bad pick. So now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. Center's still not available, right? It's way too high for Kessler, which does put me in another conundrum. I did go with a smaller wing, more of a shooting guard here with Johnny Davis. I think I want to add a little bit of defense here. Now, it really takes me between 2 players. I could go the Dean route and try to go with the upside, not ready right now, or I can go with the ready now player. This is tough, and I know I'm probably about to kill the rest of the Rockets fans with this. I think I'm gonna actually go with Jeremy Sohan here. I think he's
I
a nice little
agree.
defensive guy. I think he can give LaMelo Ball a nice little alley oop. Um, I think he can also clean up some of the mistakes from their more offensive oriented guys with some good defense. I'm also playing in the East where there's a lot of really tall, athletic guys such as Giannis and so forth. So
Kevin
I
Durant.
think, yeah, Kevin Durant, even like Jason Tatum. So I think I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with the defense to kind of make them more competitive. We've already went offense with Johnny Davis, so I think I'm gonna go with Jeremy Sohan here, and I think Charlotte comes away with a pretty good draft in this situation.
With
All
5 seconds to go, it is locked in.
There
I
we
agree with
go.
you. I think they've got to go fit here because they want to make the playoffs now. They don't got the time to develop Kang, in my opinion.
Correct.
All right. And with our second to last pick, J Dubb, you're picking once again, and you're picking for the Atlanta Hawks. I have their
3,
graphic queued up.
2,
Here we go.
1. You are on the clock.
So there's still some good names here. We still have Branham. We still have Dean. But to me, this is a pretty easy situation for me. Atlanta has a good team. The only problem is they're too contingent on one playmaker alone. And when that one playmaker is shut down, or if that one playmaker is hurt, they're pretty much done, as we saw in the playoffs this year. I know they just
It's
went
because
the
they
point
didn't
guard
give
route.
Jalen Johnson enough run. That's what the problem was. They should have just ran Jalen Johnson out there. There's their other playmaker right there. Their coaching staff just weren't ready
Yeah,
for the playoffs and
they're not
spinning it
about that
up.
life.
So we
They,
were big Jalen Johnson pushers last year. So that's kind of the reference there. But all right, sorry. Go ahead.
um, I know they just went point guard last year, and it didn't really
Sharif.
work out. Sharif didn't really get many minutes, and so I'm going to try to double down on that situation. I think I'm going to go Ty Washington here. I think it gives them another playmaker who can run the show.
Hold on. Washington went at 10. Washington
No,
went
no,
at
he
10.
didn't. No,
Oh,
no, no.
No,
you said,
Dyson Daniels
was
went.
it Dyson Daniels went 10? I asked if you was Washington or Daniels. Okay, so you went
Sorry.
Washington last time. Okay, so Daniels went at 10. Washington's going now. All right, that's fine.
So
Yeah,
Dyson went
flip
to
it.
Washington. That's probably why I
yeah,
confused.
he went to
Okay.
Washington.
Okay, there you go.
I like Tata with those shooters. I like Tata with those shooters
All
and
right,
those guys. So I think,
we'll flip these.
unlike Coach Calipari, they'll use them correctly. So I'm going with Tata Washington here.
All
I'm
right,
actually picking all the guys who I didn't love at first.
cool.
Right.
All right, so Ty Washington to the Atlanta Hawks,
And now
and then
we all
go back and
we're all
pick this
picking.
out.
So
All
we're
right,
all picking for the
so
Rockets
now
here.
drafting for the Houston Rockets.
So 3,
So
2, 1. We are on the clock.
So the big talent reach here would be to draft Jaden Hardy, right? That's kind of a hard sell given who we have on the roster. Another talent reach, Patrick Baldwin Jr. But we got Jabari Smith with our first pick. So I think our small forward position is pretty solidified now.
I mean, only to be
Center
honest,
depth, depending on if you think Christian Wood's
I don't
out of
think you
here,
need-
you go
I
that
don't think you
route.
need center depth. I think you run Garuba at the backup center. I would
Okay.
go for Wendell Moore here because we should go for another wing. We play
Okay.
Jabari at the 4 with Sengun, and we draft another wing with size that can shoot threes and play defense. I think Wendell Moore's the perfect fit. He's 6'6", he shot 40% from 3, 80% from the line. And if we're looking at small forwards, there's only 3 options. Upside with Baldwin, Wendell Moore, which is a safe pick, and upside with Marion Bochamp, who cannot shoot
No
right
love for
away.
Kendall Brown or Usman Jang.
No love for Dean.
Jang.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
that,
I'm going with Jang.
yeah,
Sorry.
that's my pick there.
Well,
I'm
that was
sorry.
a quick sell. That was
I
a quick
forgot.
sell.
I forgot he was still available.
Yeah,
Just
that's
go
why
with the upside.
me having the Fanspo thing, free plug for
Yep.
them. They are not sponsoring this, but yeah, having that really helped. Kendall Brown, Jovic, Baldwin Jr., Jang, and then Wendell Moore.
We were really about to get into an argument because I really was going to go Zhang here. I just think.
Yeah, no, we gotta go with Zhang here.
Yeah.
He's fall.
All right.
Sure.
There we go. Lock it in. I think a lot of Rockets fans will be pleased with this result. And then, all right, can I stop this? I'm going to go auto picked for the rest of the draft. And that way we can finish this up. So, there it is.
Yeah,
all right, so we got a draft summary here.
So now the plan is we're going to talk about what the rotation looks like next year with these new players, or any thoughts that you might have to close off the pod after the mock here. I'm gonna start.
I wanted we should do a little live look in at the Philly game really quick as well before we finish up the pod. So
they're winning.
Yeah, when you say live, I think that we're talking about the Sixers because Toronto's dead. It's over. It's over.
Wow. Okay. When we started recording this podcast, Toronto was winning, so that's why I was like,
"Hey, shout out to James Harden having a great game. He is 70. He is 58 from the field, 40% from 3, 6 of 6 from the line, 13 assists with 2 turnovers, 22 points, 5 rebounds,
plus 29.
Are the Harden haters on suicide watch right now?
He's a plus 29. Jesus Christ! I mean, it's a
plus 29.
Point game.
It's insane.
22 points. third on the team still, but that's not bad. Wow, it'll be interesting to see what the dialogue looks like behind Harden tomorrow. But in the meantime, let's go over what the Rockets depth chart looks like. I wish they could give me like a live depth chart after we did the draft. That would be fun. But we can do it like
So
this.
the first conclusion I'm coming to is one of Tate or KJ Martin needs to be traded.
Yeah, I think that's fair because I mean you drafted two wings over the top of both of them. I
Two
think
wings or
Jabari.
forwards,
Yeah,
because Jabari can be.
yeah. Jabari's going to get minutes. You drafted this guy third overall. He's going to get minutes. It's just like Jalen this last year. You draft the guy second overall. He's going to get a lot more minutes than even. I guess Shingun got probably the second most minutes of all the rookies. Actually, maybe be close with. Well, Christopher spent some time in the G League, so it probably was Shingun.
It's
Let me
definitely
check
Shingun.
real quick.
Yeah, and
Totals.
So basically, we're locking Jabari.
Yeah, Shingun. It was actually pretty close. 1489 to the 1300.
I think it's actually. So I think Shingun's locked in at the 5.
Oh, did he
Jabari's locked. So I think there's two options here. We either are running Jabari at the 3 with Christian Wood at the 4 if we don't trade him, or we're running Jabari at the 4 when we're trading Christian Wood and we're running someone else at the 5. And that's a really interesting discussion because could be Tate, could be KJ, could be Jang. There's a lot of options there.
I'm really interested at is there a way to start KJ Martin and Jabari together with Shingun?
I think so.
But we also, again, in this situation, we haven't necessarily traded Wood. So I mean, if he's here, he's starting. But I'm really I'm interested in the KJ Martin and Jabari dynamic.
So this is a draft, right? So we're at the draft, so we still haven't even hit free agency. So we could still make plenty of trades until the season. Like, I mean, ideally, I would trade Christian Wood. I would probably trade. I would ask Tate, "Are you willing to come off the bench?" And because if you aren't, then I'm trading you as well, and I'm running KJ at the 3. I'm running Chang as the backup 3, and I'm. Wait, no, we don't have a backup 4, do we?
I'm going to be honest, Paulo. I'm probably one of the biggest.
Garuba is the backup 4. I don't know.
I'm probably.
I guess Jing would be your backup 4.
I'm one of the biggest Tate guys, but is Tate at the level where we're asking him is he comfortable coming off the bench? Like, is that a?
He's not a good enough player, but I think he's a big enough influence in the locker room to you don't want to just like piss him off. And I think you can tell him like you're going to hit the bench, but you could tell him like, is this a huge deal for you? Should we like if you're going to be really mad, it's probably better to trade him than to keep him unhappy. Since it's such a, to me it's a 50-50 if you want to trade him or not. So if he doesn't want to be here, if he's off the bench, then I'd rather not deal with a headache in a rebuilding team. That being said, I underestimated how many wings we had. Because if we trade Wood, Garuba Shingun at the 5, Jabari at the 4, and then we need 3 more players. A backup 4, a 3.
Gary Bird still there.
He might get backup 3 minutes.
I do. I think he'll get it. I don't think they're going to take him from starting to a lot of minutes to pretty much nothing in the rotation. I still think he'll get that.
So you think they trade both Dayton and Wood, or you trade KJ?
I think both. I don't think they trade KJ. He still has 2 more years. I think that in this scenario, you look to trade Wood and you look to trade Tate.
So you could also send Kang to the T League for a year and not trade one of those guys.
Yeah, so it's funny when you said that we have to trade one of the 3s, because I don't think that Deang contributes a lot early on. I love his long-term upside. Like I honestly think he has like shades of Brandon Ingram ceiling. But I don't think you're going to get any of that early on. I think he's definitely going to be a Viper star early on. So you may not be in a rush to trade somebody. So even if you don't trade somebody now, you could wait and make a decision at the trade deadline when I believe he'll start getting a little bit more minutes. But the guy's going to see the writing on the wall. I think that Tate might struggle to accept a lesser role in a contract year as well. So I'm probably looking at moving both of them, to be honest with you.
Well, what you done? I'm pretty much in the same wavelength there.
I was just finishing up this draft so we can save it. Okay, so the point was about Jang long term.
No, the point was about, so we've got Jabari at the 4, we've
Yeah,
got Garuba, Shengun at the 5. We're
yeah.
trading Christian Wood,
Trading
and
Christian
now
Wood. Yeah,
we have Matthews, Tate, and KJ Martin to play the 3. Or if you keep KJ, you could play KJ at the 4 and Jabari at the 3.
I think what I would probably end up doing just because of the shooting, I would probably trade Tate, go young, try to have a team that's less competitive next year. Um, I'd probably run Jabari at the 3 and then KJ at the 4. I think until KJ's shooting gets a little bit better, it doesn't make as much sense to have him run at the 3. I think Jabari can play the 3. He's got enough of a turnaround game to be like a mid-range threat. I think he can guard threes. He's not the most explosive guy, but I think his lateral mobility is there to at least guard threes. And I think that also allows KJ to function more as like a weak side shot blocker and Jabari more of an on ball guy. And I like that kind of configuration. And KJ's rim protection being a 4, I think can make up for Shengun's lack of athleticism. So I do like that pairing a little bit more than, Tate's going to give you more probably point of attack and KJ will probably give you a little bit more in help. So
I agree.
that's how I kind of see that shaking out.
That being said,
I also think you could get more for Tate at this time than you could for KJ. So I think
yeah,
trading KJ, it's not going to be as good of an asset play as moving Tate would be, especially right now. Because just imagine you trade Tate to Utah. They're going to be, foaming at the mouth to get Tate over there because they don't have anyone that can stop the ball on the
That's correct.
perimeter. So
Correct.
yeah. So that being said, I think a good way to close this off as we approach time, it would be to grade the draft. Like everyone give their grade. What do you think? What do you think about that?
For the Rockets,
Yes, for the Rockets in specific.
I'll go first. I would give them an A, between an A and an A plus. I know that we may not have like that solid big name at 17, but I think when you get such a safe and solid pick of Jabari with 3, I think that's going to open the door for Dean to become like this massive fan favorite as well because it's all upside, right? And considering that they play similar positions, even if his development is a lot slower, I think it gives people a lot more patience. But I just kind of think taking upside when you got that early on, I think it's a win. Again, I think that Dean has legitimate shades of Brandon Ingram upside. So to me, it's an A or A plus. I can't see anything less.
I think a good comparison to that would be, Jalen and Josh Christopher, right? Like Josh Christopher didn't have to become a superstar because that was Jalen, right? So Josh Christopher was able to play his game and come along, more gradually, spend some time in the G League, excel there, come back, and then grow at his own pace. Um, Again, for people that, maybe joining us late, they weren't kind of along with me and Paulo last year. I cried every time we did any piece of content. Give me some type of wing. Just give me anybody. We had four.
With size, with
We
size.
had yeah. We had 4 picks. No, we had 3 to start out with, right? And then we traded for the Shingun pick. And I
Mhm.
just every mock we did, I mocked Zaire Williams or Jalen Johnson or just some type of a small forward type of guy. So for me, getting 2 of those guys in this draft with good length, high upside. I've been someone that has whined and moaned and complained about the rebounding on this team. And I think we would finally have a team that has good length, good athleticism, and at least in theory, should be a good rebounding team. Shingun's a very good positional rebounder at the center position, and then you have size and length at all the other positions. So from that aspect alone, I'm gonna have to give this draft an A. Man, could I be swung to an A plus? Probably, if the right argument came along. But I think I'll go with an A. The way the draft may shake out, obviously, it could be different than this one. You never know how the picks are going to go. But for the way this draft went, I think the Rockets did, about as good as you could have hoped for. So lock in the A. Bonuses to Rafael Stone and all of the scouting guys
So
for what they did in this draft for me.
so for me, if you tell me this is the lottery order that's locked in, I'll give it an A. Um, if I'm not, if I'm like, if the lottery result is being factored, like if we're also rating the lottery result, it's probably an A minus because I would rather any of the other two top guys than Jabari, but I would still be happy with Jabari. Uh, I don't think it's fair to rate the lottery result with the draft. So if I knew Stone has 3 and 17, I would give this an A. It's only not an A plus because to me an A plus would be getting Jabari in the situation and getting a Tari Eason that would have dropped, or even a Mark Williams, or a maybe a Sochan, or maybe a Jalen Duran if he for some reason drops. To me that would be an A plus. I still like Chang a lot, so that's why it's still an A. He's still better for me than looking at the guys. He's still better for me than Beauchamp or Liddell or Malachi or Patrick Baldwin or Caden Hardy.
And you were high on Baldwin too, so that's
I was, but
obviously
I'm not. I'm not
his
anymore.
season did not pan out
Yeah,
that way.
I'm
But
not anymore because I think the Rockets can't really afford to draft any more guys that they need to convince to hustle on the floor. So if you've
yeah,
got any kind of motor issues, it's a big no-no for me because we've got a lot of talent and you're going to have to hustle to stay on the floor with this team because we have so many options. That being said, it's a solid A. Would only have gotten better if we've gotten Mark Williams or Tari basically. And to me, I mean, I would be really excited for next season if we have gotten the two guys that we got in this mock.
I do want to say two more things on I guess this
yep.
grade. One, I think Rockets fans will need to be prepared for grades all over the place. Because if you really have done a lot of scouting, the opinions on Dieng are kind of scattered. You will see him sometimes in mock drafts go as high as 7 or 8, and then you'll see other spots where he's not even at the top of the second round, right? To me, I mean, honestly, I think some of that is lazy scouting, like you just haven't gotten to him yet, and he'll rise. Plus, I also think that Dieng coupled with a player who's a little bit more of a gamble, right? Like if you have him and shit, I think that your grades might be a little bit lower. But I think when you put him with somebody safe, you'll get a higher grade. So I really think that how he is seen is really depending on who he goes with. You know what I mean? Like even if you went with Ben Caro, there's going to be some analysts who are just going to say, well, what about defense? Because you just went double offense there, right? And so you really just have to see it through different lenses. Honestly, this wouldn't be the perfect draft. It would be great. So I'm not getting like a certain lock 100% A plus. But I think considering what you had, I think you did pretty well. And I also think this is a very realistic draft.
I think this was a very realistic draft as well. You know, neither of these picks, you could say the Jing pick was a reach. But again, I definitely agree with your point there that you get a guy in Jabari Smith where you can afford, a little bit more flexibility, freedom with that second pick. And I think because we only have 2 picks this year, and just the way that the Rockets roster is, probably good at center, probably good at point guard, or not point guard, probably good at shooting guard. You're really looking at, small forward, power forward, that kind of wing slot. What you're gonna do, I think these picks are gonna be very codependent, right? Whatever you do with that first pick is gonna have a very, very big emphasis or very big effect on whatever happens at 17. So I'm sure we're going to end up doing a bunch of these mock drafts. I think that's going to be something that you see moving forward is, if you get Chet with that first pick, you're probably going to go with a completely different archetype for the second pick. If you go with Banchero for the first pick, you're going to see a completely different archetype. And then, let's say we do fall to 5, Sharp, Ivy, whoever that shakes out to be, AJ Griffin. AJ Griffin seems to be the flavor of the day on AJ Griffin seems to be a little sour right now. I think a lot of people seem to be dropping on him, but I think it's really gonna be a contingency plan type of draft where you have to whenever that lottery ball hits and we figure out what the first pick is going to be, then we can really start locking in what we want to do at 17. Because until then, you're just planning for different scenarios here. But that's why it's fun. That's why we do these to see what the scenarios play out
yeah,
as. So
let us know. Let us know if you want us to keep doing these. Were they like they were fun to do, but were they fun to listen to and watch? So we're probably going to eventually post like sometime after the pod is out, just not to not break the surprise. But we're going to probably post like a little image with the results of the draft. And so, yeah, hit us up on Twitter at Paulo Alves, at Don Knock, at J Dubb if you want to see more of this in future pods. Either hit us up with some guests that you'd like us to bring on for something like this. I think we could easily do this. We've done it with 3. We could have easily done this with 4, 5, maybe 6 people. That being said, I also wanted to push back on the realism. It was realistic for the Rockets picks, but Ivy dropping all the way to like 8 or whatever
No
was.
chance.
Oh, people are gonna flame us for that one. But yeah,
I do think the way this draft shook out. I think there are some teams that should be interested in moving up, and we didn't do any trades in this draft. Like I said, I mentioned that earlier, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a couple of trades in this draft. Just looking at where some of these team needs are, like Charlotte, for example. Charlotte really got screwed twice. I kind of gave it to J Dubb there on both those picks, but that's a team that makes sense to try to go up and get a center prospect, right? The Knicks, we talked about them. That's a team that makes sense to try to go up and get a point guard prospect. So I think we will see trades. Maybe when we do some of these in the future, we can incorporate more trades. We kind of did this a little bit on the fly, but I also think it turned out pretty well given those circumstances. So, we want to do plugs in. J Dubb, is there anything else you want to say? Do you want to slander us at all? I know we didn't bring Slander God in just yet, but if you want to get some bars off on us, feel free, and then we can go do our plugs and close out.
Well, I'm not gonna go ahead and do any slandering here.
Okay, I
Slander
appreciate
God.
that. I
Yeah,
take a lot of heat on Twitter, so it's good to know I won't get slandered just yet on my own podcast. There may be a time and place for that, but not yet.
considering I slander both of you all, I'm gonna let Slander God rest for today. And Paulo looks way too sleepy for me to be slandering anybody at this moment. So there'll be no slander today, but Slander God will be coming in the future. But this was really fun. I enjoyed it. Honestly, the only thing I didn't enjoy is hearing how many teams consider Mark Williams. And you kind of killed my bankero Mark Williams stream. But overall, man, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to see the outcome, hear the feedback, because ultimately, like I said, what the fans and the listeners think about it is what matters the most. So I loved it. I appreciate y'all for having me on.
Yeah, we'll probably try to get you on maybe one more time before the season starts. We'll see what type of guests we can line up for the draft. But yeah, definitely thanks for coming on. I would have liked to get you. There's not a whole lot going on right now with Rockets news and notes, so it made more sense to do this mock draft. But I'd like to get you on at least one more time where you can talk about just some more general Rockets news and stuff like that, because you have a lot of great things to say. So it was fun doing the mock, but like I said, I want to get you on in a more normal capacity as well, kind of like a regular pod too. So, but again, thanks for joining us. I'm sure we'll be talking to you not very long into the future here on a space at some point. But that's going to do it for us today. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Don Knock. You can follow the pod at Clutch City CR. The link tree is in the description of that account if you want to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. Again, this will go up on YouTube, and you can see all of our great, amazing graphics. Paulo, go ahead and tell the people where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, y'all can find me on Twitter at Paulo Alves NBA. That's PAULOALVES NBA. Everything I do, from podcasts like this one to live shows on Twitter Spaces, we find itself linked on there.
Cool. And J Dubb, go ahead.
You can find me at the Mind of J Dubb. You know where to find me. I'm in Spaces. I'm on Twitter. I'm in the group chat. So yeah, just reach out. I love this. I love talking Rockets. I really love the Rockets fan family. So let's just continue to build that, continue to support one another, and just realize that we're all here to help one another as a unit. There's no competition. So let's just keep on moving it.
Perfect. We will leave y'all with those great words of wisdom. So until next time, y'all, be safe and go Rockets.